Hey everybody, I'm Heron from Heron Fox Farm, and I'm back making another video out here in the orchard. It is early March now, and I'm sorry I haven't made a video since the beginning of the year. It's just been storming like crazy, just non-stop, and the orchard out here, you can see it's still really green and lush, of course, but it's just wet as can be. You can't really see here, but it's just muddy, like my feet are sinking in. Yeah, you can see the orchard floor is still, we keep it green all year long. There's flowers everywhere. I know what's funny is a lot of farmers claimed before that during the almond blossom period, you wanted to mow the orchard down to nothing so there wouldn't be any flowers competing with the almond flowers. But what studies have shown is that actually the more flowers, the better for the bees, obviously. So we don't mow it this time of year very much, only if it gets too crazy tall. But you can see how many flowers are out, which is pretty cool. There's just flowers everywhere on the orchard floor, and that's really good for the bees. And the trees are still blooming here and there. Some varieties are just about finished, and then the flowers are pretty sparse overall, but it's towards the end of bloom now. And it was a pretty pathetic bloom. I mean, the trees bloomed okay, but the weather was just pathetic, with just non-stop storms after storms and winds and cold. The mountains nearby are just covered in snow. And even today, when it's sunny, it's only about 57 degrees right now in the afternoon. So just barely warm enough for the bees to do any pollination, because they got to stay in there and keep the queen warm as much as possible. Trees are blooming still. It's not going to be a very good yield probably, because the bees just haven't had many good days to pollinate, unfortunately. But on the one good thing is we did get some compost spread between the storms. So you can see right here is where we had the compost pile dumped. And you know, it was a huge, I wish I had gotten a video of that, but an enormous pile of compost was here. We spread it all through the orchard. You can see how wet it is still. It's been just raining constantly. And the trees actually can take the cold and the rain all right, but it's the bees who just can't pollinate when it's too stormy. So this tree right here is the nonpareils, and they're just about finished blooming now. There's just a few flowers here and there. Hopefully we'll get some nuts, we'll see. And then this ones right here are the buttes, and they're still got quite a bit of flowers left on them. So there's hope for those. Even today, when it's not storming, it's only about 57 degrees out here, which is pretty cold for March on a nice day. Anyways, you can see over here where we've taken out the orchard, we made a lot of progress. It's pretty cleaned up. It's just too wet to prepare the soil for planting the new trees. So I'm hoping in April maybe we can do that. But you can see this is about 13 acres right here that we've cleared out. And there's just a few little burn piles still smoldering. All the irrigation is marked with flags. And you can see in the distance maybe the snow on the mountains. That's the Sierra Nevadas. Some places you can see a lot more snow than here, but anyways, it looks pretty good overall. You can see how wet it is maybe. And then this is the half of the orchard that we're keeping. And yeah, that's about it right now. So here you can see the strips. Here is where we've been burning. We have a flame torch where we flame the weeds in the strips instead of spraying Roundup. So we drive up and down the rows really slowly with my tractor, and it has a trailer with a propane tank and a flamethrower kind of thing, and you drive really slowly up and down on both sides of the rows, and it burns the weeds down, and it works pretty good. It's just super slow, and then this time of year it has to be done over and over again to keep the weeds from growing back, whereas on the conventional orchards they just spray a Roundup once and it's good for months and months, and nothing grows, everything's dead. And this is about one pass with the flame, and it basically, you can see what it does to the weeds. And then this is where the weeds were really tall, and then here they're a little shorter, and the flame does a better job. But then a second pass will really clean it up nicely, but then it'll have to be done over and over, like every 2 or 3 weeks, all during the growing season, to keep the weeds under control in those strips. And whereas in a conventional orchard, they just spray Roundup once and they're done for the season and everything's dead. But that's not what we're gonna do. We're all about life, and you can see lots of life here. Wanted to get some bee action, but it's just pretty cold today. But the ground right now is just, it is so muddy here. It's ridiculous. I've never seen it this wet this time of year. Okay, so here you can see the bees that we've, a local family friend lives nearby. He's brought these over for us, and they are pretty active today. And so that's 4 boxes on a pallet, and there's 5 of these pallets throughout the orchard, so 20 hives altogether, and that is what we use for pollinating the 13 acres. That you can see how muddy it is here. But so those are pollinating these 13 acres, and then when I have the other half of the orchard in production too, it'll take about 40 boxes to pollinate the entire 27 acres. And I'm just sliding around all over the place. It's so wet right now, but this is the only nice day I've been able to get out here and actually get some good shots of the orchard when it's not storming. The wind has been crazy, the cold, and actually the trees themselves, when they're in bloom, they can take the storms pretty well. They flower all through the stormy weather, but what it is, it's the bees that just can't get out and do the pollinating when it's too cold or too windy or too wet. So that's been the biggest challenge this season, is getting enough days for the bees to do the pollinating. But I'm still hopeful that we'll get some kind of a crop. These trees always seem to do something for me to keep me going, and so I feel really blessed, and I like making these videos to share this stuff with you guys. You can see there's another pallet of bees down there in the middle of the row. And so hopefully they're doing their job today. Overall, it's a glorious day. This row is where I had to drive through here to get some firewood, and I had to put it in four-wheel drive. So I would have liked to get some better video shots of the orchard in full bloom. This is kind of the end of the bloom. And really the pictures don't do it justice. It looks way more beautiful in real life. Okay, that's the March update on Hare and Fox Farm. And that's about it for this video. Glad you guys are watching my stuff, and I hope you stay safe and sane in 2023. Cheers. Okay, here's a fallen soldier from yesterday's windstorm. It's always sad to see a tree come down when they're in full bloom. And it was right on the end of the row, right where it's most exposed to wind. But for the crazy high winds and storms that we've had, it's amazing that we've only lost a couple trees. So I feel pretty blessed about that. So this is a nearby orchard that is in full bloom still, and I just wanted to show you how beautiful they look when they're in full bloom. And all the petals on the ground, it kind of looks like snow. But you can see this orchard is not organic, and there's nothing growing on the ground. So that's kind of sad, but the trees look pretty.